what can you say about how somebody gets a bond when they are charged with 2 murders?
I can tell our audience that we show up for every bond hearing, every one. A lot of them, if it's shoplifting or B&E auto, we know we can't keep the jail packed with those. So we ask for a reasonable bond. When it's a murder or double murder, we ask for no bond. You know, we look at each case individually, and we did that in this case, and we got bond denied. Then there was a motion for reconsideration of a bond. It came up. We vehemently opposed it. We begged the judge not to do it. The judge set a $100,000 bond. We presented the facts. We talked about danger to the community and flight risk, which is about all you can talk about at a bond hearing. And our community needs to know that even though the solicitor's office works extremely hard, they don't allow us to be the judge and the juror and the prosecution. We present for the state, and we told them everything that made us believe that he was a danger to the community, and we presented our case with law enforcement present, and against our recommendation, a bond was set. Most of the time, there will be a bond on almost every case, regardless of what we say. We're here to protect the public. That is our job. The defense attorney is there to represent that one defendant. And the judge is there to weigh, at least on the original bond, whether he's a flight risk and a danger to the community. And that is what they would do to deny bond or to set a high bond.
But in your opinion, why would a judge, and I don't know if you can answer this or not, but why would a judge set a bond at $50,000 per victim in a case like this?
He weighs, first of all, he weighs whether or not the person is going to come back or flee. And the seriousness of the charge does play into that a little bit. That obviously I'm not going to run away on a shoplifting charge, but I'm more likely to run away on a double murder. But the big thing, and we see this in Georgetown and in Horry, the vast majority of our people won't leave. The bad guys won't leave. So it really comes down to danger to the community. And there's no standards from the state that says this is an appropriate bond here, or it's not an appropriate bond there. It is our job to get up, tell them about the defendant's prior record, tell them about this particular case and why we believe that he's a danger to the community. And then the judge has to weigh that. Used to, it was a lot easier. And what we talked about before you went on the air, this, nobody knows. Even the community leaders in Georgetown don't know this. But the one thing that has changed since COVID is that the solicitor don't get to set trials anymore. And we can talk about how the backlog is, what the backlog is. We didn't have a backlog in Horry and Georgetown coming out of COVID. You reported on it. We just didn't. We had 438 cases, warrants. It was 3 years old or older. Compare that to Charleston and Sumter and Greenville, where there's 8,000. We have 1/20th of that. So we got lumped in. At that time, the clerk's office took over the trial roster with the judge. So when we sit there and talk about, used to we could say, Judge, we'll put it up for trial next month or next week or whenever. We don't get to do that anymore. We don't get much of a say at all when it gets put up there. So that is also playing in to the judge's decision. When are you going to be able to try it? Judge, you're asking the wrong person. I wish that for 100 years, we picked what was up and we could go with a double murder over a drug case. Now that is it the case?
You said one of the things that a judge has to consider when deciding on a bond is danger to the community.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who is accused of beating 2 people to death is not a danger to the community?
Well, that's the state's position, and we argued vehemently that position.
In your career, you've been doing this a long time, and in your career, have you ever had a double murder suspect get a $100,000 bond?
Scott, as soon as I say no, somebody will find one that did.
I mean we had
25
Stanko,
years.
and of course he didn't get any bond.
Right.
Why would somebody like Stanko get no bond and somebody like Woodruff get a bond?
I don't know. We vehemently asked.
So they were both double murders.
I'll tell you one that that looked a lot like this. Winkler.
Mm-hmm.
Winkler. We begged that judge not to set a bond, and he got out and killed another person. And that is part of the risk in doing that. But you've got the state saying, please, judge, listen, we don't ask you to deny bond on drug cases. We don't ask you to deny bond on very little on drug cases or on property crime cases. We try to keep our powder dry and ask for bond to be denied on violent offenders. You've got someone on the other side begging for a bond of some sort.
So basically, the bottom line, your office tried your best to keep him in jail.
Yes.
And the judge gave him a bond. What would you say to the Walker family right now, the one whose relative was killed this week?
We will. There's nothing I can say to bring him back. We will work with the Georgetown Sheriff's Office to bring justice to that matter. We will get up again at any future date and ask the judge to oppose bond. Certainly, now he is at least accused of, and we got to keep in mind, Scott, that defendants are innocent until proven guilty or until they plead guilty. Mm-hmm. So we are going to present the facts as we know them. We'll ask for no bond again. And, but,
do you think there's a chance that somebody accused or charged with 3 murders will get a bond?
Well, I would certainly hope not. We will really do our best to make sure that happens, but we did our best when he was charged with 2. So, I can't speak for anybody but people in this office, and we'll continue to do our best to make sure that the people of Georgetown's voice is heard.